Baseball has seen plenty of legends, but these players stood out not just for what they did, but for how weird they did it. Hunter Pence, the man who throws like he has no elbow. You've seen bad form before, but Hunter Pence takes the cake, drops it, trips over it, and still scores. The guy runs like his limbs are arguing with each other. Scouts compared his sprint to a rotary phone getting tossed around in a dryer, and honestly, that's generous. He throws like he's trying to deliver mail with a spaghetti noodle, and yet somehow, against all odds and orthopedic predictions, he made it work. Pence racked up almost 250 home runs, made 4 All-Star teams, and helped win not 1, but 2 World Series rings with the Giants. The twist? He has Scheuermann's disease, which stiffens the spine and messes with posture. So while it might look like he's being electrocuted during a fly ball, it's actually a legit medical condition. But does it stop him? Nope. He scooters to games like a tech bro, misplaces said scooter, buys a new one, then auctions the old one for charity. That's classic Pence. What looks like chaos is actually controlled madness. But the dude made a career out of being unpredictably effective. He's weird, wired, and totally wonderful. Youkilis, the guy with the weird stance. Now let's talk about Youkilis, aka Youk, aka the human question mark. His batting stance looked like someone paused the game while he was mid-stretch. Feet spread, knees bent, bat wiggling above his head, and elbows flying like he was bracing for a head-on collision. At first glance, you'd think this guy wandered in from a local CrossFit challenge and forgot how bats work. Pitchers probably did a double take just trying to figure out if he was serious. But he was. Despite a stance that looked like an MLB parody skit, Youkilis was a nightmare to pitch to. He had one of the highest on-base percentages of his era, loved getting hit by pitches, and could foul off just about anything you threw at him. He was a grinder, a scrapper, a Gold Glove third baseman, and a 2-time World Series champ with the Red Sox. It was like watching a troll from Middle-earth step into the batter's box and rake doubles. He made ugly look elite, and that weird, wonky stance? It wasn't pretty, but it worked. That's the Youk guarantee.
Gary Sheffield, the bat-waving showman.
Gary Sheffield didn't just play baseball, he performed it. And nothing summed that up better than his menacing, mesmerizing bat wave. Every time he stepped up to the plate, he'd wag that bat back and forth like he was trying to hypnotize the pitcher. It was part intimidation, part ritual, and all Sheffield. The motion looked like he was revving up for a fight. And in a way, he was. Pitchers hated it, but the fans loved it. And despite that twitchy, borderline violent setup, he hit over 500 home runs and made 9 All-Star appearances. He played for 8 different teams, but no matter the uniform, that bat wave stayed the same. You didn't need to see the name on the jersey to know it was Sheffield. He was explosive at the plate, quick hands, crazy power, and one of the fastest swings in the league. He even used a freakishly heavy 50-ounce bat at times, just for fun. It was like watching a guy bring a log to a sword fight and still win. Sheffield wasn't just weird, he was untouchably cool. Counsell, the man with raised arms. Next up is Counsell, possibly the only MLB player who looked like he was being held up at gunpoint every time he batted. Seriously, the man stood straight up with both arms raised like a student answering a math question. The bat hovered almost vertical above his head, and he barely moved. You'd think he was rehearsing a mime routine, rather than getting ready to face 95 miles per hour heat. It looked awkward, stiff, and almost like a parody of batting itself. But for him, weird works. Counsell turned that oddball stance into a successful career, logging clutch hits and key moments in the postseason. He was a key part of not 1 but 2 World Series winning teams. And if you thought his weirdness stopped at the plate, think again. As a manager, he's just as unique. Unafraid to pull starters early, play the matchups, and take risks. He's quiet, calculated, and low-key brilliant. The guy is all about function over flash. He didn't care if he looked like a scarecrow trying to swat a bee. He only cared about winning, and he did.
Adrián Beltré, the dancing third baseman. Adrián Beltré wasn't just a great third baseman. He was a whole comedy special in cleats. On one hand, you had a Gold Glove legend with a rocket arm and reflexes faster than your Wi-Fi. On the other hand, you had a guy who treated third base like a stage and every game like a rushed sketch. Beltre would dive for a ball, make the play, and then casually dance like he just won a salsa contest. He absolutely hated people touching his head, which of course made his teammates do it constantly. The reactions were priceless.
They had full-on tantrums, shoves, dramatic flails, you name it. He had a running gag with Elvis Andrus that felt more like a sitcom than a double-play combo. One time he even dropped to one knee mid-swing and launched a home run, like a knight swinging a sword in battle. Then there's the dugout antics, impromptu hugs, phantom punches, and random pranks. And let's not forget the time he got ejected for moving the on-deck circle. Yes, he literally dragged it. That's peak Beltre. He was weird, but he made it look like fun, and he backed it up with a Hall of Fame career. Manny Ramirez. Manny Being Manny. Manny Ramirez didn't just play baseball, he turned it into some weird mix of performance art and circus sideshow. You never knew what was coming with this guy. One day he's cutting off a throw from his own teammate in the outfield, another day he's disappearing into the green monster mid-inning to take a leak, and yes, that actually happened. He once walked into a fan's house during spring training thinking it was his Airbnb. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. This man's entire existence on the field was chaos with a smile. His pre-game routine included sleeping during team meetings and sometimes not even knowing who they were playing. He wore gloves that barely looked legal, took swings like he was swatting a mosquito, and casually launched baseballs into orbit. Still, he finished with over 2,500 hits and 555 home runs. The guy was a first-ballot weirdo and still a top-tier slugger. The phrase Manny Being Manny wasn't just a meme, it was a lifestyle. He was the kind of dude who made you question what sport you were watching. But man, when he connected, it was magic.
Munenori Kawasaki, Japan's delightful clubhouse samurai.
If baseball handed out awards for pure vibes, Munenori Kawasaki would have taken home MVP every single year. This guy had the energy of a caffeinated squirrel and the charisma of a Saturday morning cartoon character. He wasn't just weird, he was joy personified. Whether he was stretching like a flamingo in the dugout or shouting, "I am Japanese," at confused interviewers, he always gave 110%, mostly in entertainment. One time he crashed a teammate's press conference just to shout random English words. Another time he told fans he ate bananas so he wouldn't get nervous. As for his stats, who cares? He wasn't there for that. He was there to make baseball fun again. His glove was fine, his bat was okay, but his personality was Hall of Fame level. He once tried to play air guitar in the outfield while a game was still going on. His teammates didn't even flinch. That's just Kawasaki being Kawasaki. He wasn't flashy in the way a power hitter is flashy. He was flashy like a disco ball in a locker room. Random, unpredictable, and absolutely essential. Baseball needs more Munenoris, not because of what they do, but because of how they make everyone feel. Randy Johnson, the cyborg slider, and the flirting giggle. Randy Johnson looked like he came straight out of a Marvel movie, a 6'10" behemoth who threw baseballs like Zeus hurling lightning bolts. If you were a batter, you weren't facing a man, you were facing a machine. A very tall, very angry machine. He actually killed a bird with a pitch once. Not figuratively, literally. Feathers exploded everywhere, and it looked like a glitch in the Matrix. But here's the twist. This intimidating monster of a pitcher had the giggle of a middle schooler who just saw his first fart meme. After striking out 3 in a row, he'd sit in the dugout and laugh like he just tricked the umpire. His personality was like a split screen. Pure menace on the mound and an absolute dork off it. He was obsessed with photography, carried around pro-level cameras, and once shot a Metallica concert like a proud dad. That balance of fearsome and funny was what made him weird and unforgettable. His slider looked like it bent physics, while his humor looked like it belonged in a 6th grade classroom. And together, it somehow worked. He scared the life out of batters, then cracked jokes about it with the bullpen. That's classic Randy.
Bronson Arroyo, the ceramic-headed knuckleballer. Bronson Arroyo wasn't just a pitcher. He was a walking indie film. This guy played acoustic guitar in the clubhouse, wore cargo pants like it was a uniform, and threw pitches that floated like soap bubbles in a breeze. His delivery was all limbs and chaos, like a scarecrow learning to dance, yet somehow, it worked. His knuckleball wasn't traditional, but it was just slippery enough to get the job done. And when he wasn't pitching, he was molding pottery like a contestant on Great British Throwdown. No joke. He once made a vase during a rain delay. He fermented salsa in his free time, held late-night jam sessions with teammates, and once compared his fastball to a lazy river ride. It wasn't blazing, but it got you there eventually. His mechanics weren't pretty, but they were uniquely Bronson. And that's the thing. He wasn't trying to fit in.
He leaned all the way into being that weird pitcher with the weird motion who also happened to play guitar at open mic nights. In a sport full of carbon copy athletes, Arroyo was a delightful, noodle-armed exception. And with 17 seasons of that weird magic, you better believe he earned every one of them. Brian Wilson, the beard and the base path walk. Brian Wilson looked like a villain from a post-apocalyptic video game. And he pitched like one too. As for his beard, it wasn't just facial hair, it was a statement. A terrifying jet black monument to weirdness. He wore it like armor, styled it like a wizard, and built an entire cult of personality around it. On the mound, he was electric, but off the mound, he was a walking meme. He wore spandex suits to interviews, showed up on late-night shows looking like a conspiracy theorist, and once told a reporter he lived with a Sasquatch. He sprinted off the mound after saves like he'd just robbed a bank. He wore sunglasses inside, fist-bumped imaginary fans, and once claimed his beard had its own Twitter account. Wilson wasn't just a closer, he was performance art. Opponents didn't just fear his slider, they feared what he might say after the game. So was he weird? Oh, absolutely. Was he effective? Well, he racked up saves like candy and helped the Giants win it all. But let's be honest, we were all watching for the beard. The pitching was just a bonus. So guys, which MLB player would you say is the weirdest of them all? Tell us in the comments below and subscribe to our channel for more baseball action.